Right now at 10, a fatal crash in southwest Joplin shuts down a portion of Coyote Drive. Plus, 7 people are dead, including 2 children, following tornado touchdowns in Iowa. And we're heading to sausage making days at the Miners Hall Museum in Franklin. The KOAM News at 10 starts right now. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. A fatal crash in Joplin shuts down a portion of Coyote Drive on the city's southwest side. Around 4 this afternoon, authorities were alerted to a serious crash on Coyote Drive near Paintball Ridge. Officials say there were 2 vehicles involved. 1 person was killed in the crash. Their identity has not yet been released. Coyote Drive was closed for around 3 hours. Most of Madison County's damage in Iowa stretched along a particular gravel road where Eric Hansen with our affiliate KCCI in Des Moines found stories of destruction, heartache, and gratefulness.
3 miles south of Winterset, the tornado tore a path right down Carver Road, home to dozens of acreages that all got hit around 4:30 Saturday afternoon.
12 hours later, before Sunday's sunrise, the scope of the destruction was still hidden in darkness. A sink 50 feet from its house sat frozen, just like the water droplet that hung from it. The 1-story home was wiped clean off its foundation, exposing the basement where a mother and daughter rode out the storm. Within minutes of the sun creeping over the mangled horizon, skid loaders were rolling up and down Carver Road. Inside the white one, a farmer.
Yeah.
Who lost several neighbors.
One neighbor died across the road over there, and then there's another one just down the road a ways, another died down there.
Those scars below Dwayne Bush's eye and on his lip show how close he came. He'd just been to town for dinner and some diesel.
Seen that cloud coming, so I headed for home, and I got just off the highway, and it just got my driveway, and it hit.
Trapping him inside his red Ford as its windows blew out and everything turned dark.
I don't know whether I picked it up or not because I couldn't see because the dust was flying.
A tree that could have hit his cab landed on the bed instead.
The doors was maced down, and I just pried them open and kicked them open and got out of there.
But Sunday morning, Dwayne was back behind the wheel, scooping up what's left of his farm, surrounded by an army of neighbors on skid loaders. At this point, he doesn't even know what he's missing yet.
No, not yet, though.
He just knows, like everyone else along this road where even the street sign was destroyed, there's work to do.
Just gotta clean it up, get the mess cleaned up.
A cleanup that could last for months.
Turning to our weather, thankfully nothing like that around here. Nick Kelly joining us.
But we did have to deal with our fair share of widespread rain and storms to wrap up the weekend, Chris, and not only that, it really put a hamper on temperatures. We only dropped into the mid-30s this morning and only topping out at 44 degrees. That's because of how the storm system tracked out. The same storm system that brought the severe weather up in Iowa gave us at least a little bit of a break in the action as we go through the overnight. But you can see earlier today a good soaking of rain and thunderstorms, while any severe weather just, and I mean just, stayed to our south and to the east. Any tornado warnings, any severe weather of any kind continues to work well east of the region. As far as temperatures go, it's certainly cold, and it's going to continue to get colder throughout the course of the night. Lower to middle 30s out there right now. Any wraparound moisture on the backside of the system with the dropping temperatures means maybe a few quick rain showers, snow showers, not a big deal whatsoever. And thankfully, we're going to go from mostly cloudy skies tomorrow morning, Chris, to partly sunny skies. And at least we'll get highs back in the lower 40s. We'll see how the rest of the week's shaping up here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Well, the Miners Hall Museum in Franklin was the place to be today for a special program. The program was Sausage Making Days, and it was held this afternoon and presented by Rudy and Charlene Widmar. The sausage making back in the day was about more than putting food on the table. They say it was a time for fellowship, friendship, drinking beer, playing cards, and a whole lot more.
What we love about hosting these programs is that you get people here, and especially now that people have been home for so long, people are excited to get out, see other people that they know, learn something new, and we love them to come see the new exhibits in our museum. The permanent collection changes, but not as often as our quarterly exhibits do.
The program was presented in conjunction with the quarterly exhibit, Who's Behind the Apron? And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Staff Sergeant Dan Britton served in the Army in Vietnam, his hometown, Carl Junction. We're proud to recognize Staff Sergeant Dan Britton, tonight's four-state hero. Of course, check out more heroes or nominate one of your own. You can do that at KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, a rally was held in downtown Tulsa in support of Ukraine, and a second effort to evacuate civilians from the besieged Ukraine port city of Mariupol collapsed Sunday as Russia renewed its onslaught of shelling. A rally was held in downtown Tulsa in support of Ukraine, but organizers weren't just looking for sign holding and flag flying. They're looking for Tulsans to take action. Abigail Dye reports.
Ukraine's national anthem rings out at John Hope Franklin Reconciliation Park.
So this is a rally for Ukraine. I came out here because my home is being destroyed and I have nowhere to come back to.
And I know a lot of people that have already heard about Ukraine, and it touches my heart, and I just support them 100%.
Over 100 people stand with flags, signs, and a message.
I think it sends a message that even a metro area of 1 million people, not the size of New York City or San Francisco or Los Angeles, can come show support.
I think any little amount of people can make a big difference. All it takes is a few spoken words, and there can be a vast difference made.
Nicole Miller helped organize the rally.
That's where most of my family resides, and it is now under Russian control. So that's just been absolutely terrible to see. It's devastating.
And this rally isn't settling for lip service.
The hopes of this rally would be that any senators, government officials, anybody to do something more for Ukraine. Colorado imposed their own state sanctions on Russia, so I was hoping maybe Oklahoma could do something like that as well.
I think we should support them 100%. No matter where we're at, we should still support them.
Call your representatives, senators.
It's a ripple effect. Everything we do has a meaning.
A second effort to evacuate civilians from the besieged Ukraine port city of Mariupol collapsed today as Russia renewed its onslaught of shelling. And a mass exodus of Ukrainians is creating what officials say is Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
Since Russia began the onslaught against Ukraine, more than 1.5 million people have fled to neighboring countries.
Our family was basically torn apart because I had to leave my parents and my husband at home. And I hope that when this is over, and I hope this is over soon, we'll still have a home to go back to.
Refugees gathered at this church in Romania as Russia steps up its assault that has killed an unknown number of people. As the humanitarian toll mounts, more than a dozen Ukrainian children flew to Italy for cancer treatment.
This is a major refugee crisis. What is needed really is a ceasefire, is the end of hostilities, because that's the only way to stop this tragedy.
Hundreds protested in southern Ukraine while Ukraine's military and citizens armed with Molotov cocktails battle Russian President Vladimir Putin's invading forces.
These weapons are being bought to protect themselves, their loved ones, their friends, and their families.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. is working with Poland on the possibility of providing fighter jets to Ukraine.
Vladimir Putin continues to press this aggression. That's why I say I'm afraid this could go on for some time. But it's going to end, and it's going to end with Ukraine prevailing.
Meanwhile, NATO is rejecting requests from Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky to establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Putin says any nation doing so is involved in, quote, armed conflict. Attempting to blame Ukraine for the war, the Russian leader told Turkey's president that Kyiv must stop all hostilities and fulfill the well-known demands of Russia. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett spoke Sunday night by phone with Putin a day after Bennett visited Moscow to meet with the Russian president in hopes of mediating between Ukraine and the Kremlin. Later, a new superhero movie debuted in theaters this weekend, and as expected, did pretty well. We'll have the latest in our box office review.
But first, we'll break down our forecast. We'll see when this storm system will clear out and how temperatures will fare through the week when we come back. We certainly had an interesting Sunday to wrap up this week, and let's just dive in and see how this day unfolded. First, plenty of wet pavement. That was certainly expected for today, for not only just over Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, but all across the area today. In fact, plenty of cloud cover, and the way our storm system tracked had a big impact on temperatures. We went from the lower to middle 70s yesterday afternoon, and then we tanked into the lower to middle 30s rather this morning. And then Joplin region only made it back into the lower to middle 40s this afternoon. This all because this storm system at the surface took a more southerly track. The surface low passed just to the south of the region, while the warm front did not make it to I-44. That's the reason why we struggled to warm up today. But it was our saving grace on the flip side of things, because even though we had an upper level wave give us plenty of widespread rain and storms, it kept any severe weather just to the south and east of the region, where we still have active tornado watches, severe thunderstorm warnings, and even tornado warnings not near or close enough to the Bull Shoals. But around here, we had that wide scattering of rain and storms late this afternoon through this evening. We're starting to see things wind on down, but picked up mainly rain out of the system, half an inch, just over that on the average, with the higher estimates over in southwestern Missouri trying to push over an inch. But believe it or not, we actually still have Greenwood, Elk, Chautauqua, and Woodson counties could by a winter weather advisory, because on the colder side of the system, while most of us dealt with rain, I saw a lot of reports of accumulating sleet, snow, and a little bit of freezing rain out across northeastern, north central, and down to south central Kansas. And any moisture that's still around is trying to come down as a few sprinkles, maybe a few flurries, a few sleet pellets. That's all we're going to see with the backside of the storm system overall as we go throughout the course of the night, as it finally moves on out. Wet pavement in Joplin as well, but we are continuing with a lot of cloud cover in Joplin, temperatures to 37, north wind to 13, certainly making it feel like 29 degrees. In fact, again, everybody, the best we can do temperature-wise is lower to middle 40s this afternoon. Our very far southern counties, that's where we had temperatures going to the 50s and close to 60. But now everybody, we are plummeting through the 30s overall. But this is a general ballpark of where we're going to bottom out for the rest of the night, because we'll continue with mostly cloudy skies through the overnight. Any wraparound moisture with the system could result in a few rain showers for some, maybe a few light snow showers, but it's not going to be a big impact whatsoever by the time we get the morning drive underway, with lows near 30, by the way. Then we're going to gravitate toward partly sunny skies as we go into tomorrow afternoon. And even with the north breeze, we are going to see temperatures warm up a bit. 30 in the morning, 38 by noon. A north wind at 5 to 15 will only let us go to 42, but at least we're going to be dry as we go into Monday. Here's Tuesday. This quick upper level wave will only give us mostly cloudy skies Tuesday. I don't see it pulling in much more moisture, so we'll keep things dry for Tuesday and even Wednesday. But this system, this might give us a few showers, rain showers late on Thursday, but sticking with Doug's pattern, we gotta watch how the system tracks and how fast temperatures drop by Friday, because this system could certainly end as another shot for snow. Like Doug's been saying for the past few weeks, we're not quite done with winter yet, and we may have another shot of wintry weather by the time Friday rolls around. Still, that forecast not set in stone, so it's something we're watching closely. But temperatures don't look too bad, really. 42 tomorrow, 47 Tuesday, mid to upper 50s Wednesday and Thursday, and 33 Friday, but back to 58 by Sunday, Chris, with us springing forward come Sunday morning.
This is something I noticed last week too. I feel like we are getting closer to spring, and the way you can tell is when we do have these little Arctic blasts, they're not lasting as long and they're not as severe as they have been through the month of February.
Yeah, we're certainly thankful for that.
Absolutely. Nick, thank you so much. Turning to sports, championship Sunday at the MIAA tournament in Kansas City.
And the Lions are playing for the conference tournament title. Missouri Southern hits the floor today against 5th-ranked Fort Hays State. We've got highlights and a look at what is next for the Lions this season. This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. The Missouri Southern women are in the MIAA Tournament Championship for the first time since 1996. The Lions hit the floor in Kansas City this afternoon against Fort Hays State, looking to claim the tournament title. Southern beat the Tigers by 13 in Hays in their only meeting of the regular season. This one here today, a defensive battle. Brooke Stauffer gets the steal. Later in the same possession, Lacey Stokes turns it into points. Team high 15 for Stokes. Second quarter, Lions down by 10. Lane Skiles knocks down a 3, and that sparks a Missouri Southern run. Caitlin Honeycutt gets a 3 of her own here. 3-point game going into the break. Later, under 3 to play in regulation, Skiles drains it from the corner. She finishes with 10, and it's a tie game. The very next possession, though, Fort Hays has a response. Jaden Hobbs puts the Tigers back on top, and then Sydney Galladay hits the reverse. That pretty much does it. Fort Hays State takes down Missouri Southern in the MIAA championship game, 48-42.
Both teams played tremendous on defense, taking things away, making it very difficult. Got very few good open look shots. I had no doubt that we'd be able to get back in the basketball game and win the basketball game. And the kids, they believe it as well. That didn't surprise me. We got down a little bit that we would fight to get back in because our kids don't have any quit, and it showed for the 40 minutes we played tonight.
Today is also Selection Sunday with the conference tournament behind them now. The Missouri Southern women turn their attention to the national tournament. The Lions will make their first appearance in the national tournament in 26 years, earning the 4th seed in the Central Region. Missouri Southern will face St. Cloud State in the first round this coming Friday, March 11th in Hays, Kansas. At the Division I level, the Kansas Jayhawks earned a share of the Big 12 championship last night. The Jayhawks beat Texas in overtime 70-63, claiming a Big 12 title for the 20th time in the last 26 seasons. In last night's game, David McCormick scored a season-high 22 points to go along with 10 rebounds. Jalen Wilson also had a double-double with 17 points and 13 rebounds, while Christian Brown added 13. Kansas is the number 1 seed in the Big 12 Conference Tournament, which begins on Wednesday. Still ahead, the El Dorado Springs girls punched their ticket to the state semifinals. Plus, we'll hear from the Colgan Panthers on winning a sub-state title and returning to the 2A state tournament in Manhattan.
Downstream Casino Resort, Kansas.
Welcome back to the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. The Colgan High School girls basketball team is headed back to the 2A state tournament. Colgan topped Uniontown 55-27 last night to claim a sub-state championship and punch their ticket to Manhattan. Now, with the win, the Panthers remain undefeated heading into the state tournament next week.
I knew the kids were going to come in with a lot of energy, pretty antsy. You know, we've been waiting for this all season. We talked about it. This has been one of our biggest goals. And I knew it was going to be high energy in the beginning, you know, on their home court. You know, Danielle's a great player for them. So I thought they handled it really well. We missed a lot of bunnies early, but we settled in. You know, we played great defense again, and then we were able to, you know, do what we wanted to do on offense. We don't ever talk about the next game or the next game. We just talk about the one in front of us. And, you know, in the postseason, I just kept telling them that each game was the biggest game of the season because because you lose, you go home. And, you know, they're just really locked in. They're playing really well together. I just don't think the lights get too bright for these kids, and I think they're just, you know, excited for the opportunity.
We have 7 local teams that have earned sub-state titles and will move on to the state tournaments next week. On the girls' side, Labette County is headed back to state in Class 4A. Frontenac and Cherryvale will be in the 3A state bracket. Both the Colgan girls and boys are headed to state in 2A. The Girard boys and the Galena boys make the bracket in Class 3A. For the Bulldogs, it's their 3rd straight trip to state. On the Missouri side, the El Dorado Springs girls are moving on to the state semifinals. El Dorado Springs beat East Buchanan 55-24 in the state quarterfinals on Saturday. The Bulldogs are now 27-3 this season. They will face Stratford in the Class 3 semifinals on Thursday in Springfield. To baseball now, Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern are currently the top 2 teams in home runs in the MIAA. Missouri Southern leads the league with 39 homers in 19 games, while the Gorillas are second with 31 in 17 games. Lions catcher Tommy Stevenson leads the league individually in the home run category. He has 10 homers on the year, and right behind him with 9 is Pitt State first baseman Garrett McGowan. Southern's Matt Miller and Pitt State's Caden Fowler are also top 10 in the league. The Lions have scored a league-high 160 runs so far this season. That's a look at sports. We're back after this.
A new superhero movie debuted in theaters. See, I have a superpower too. It's invisibility. And as expected, this one, unlike my film, dominated the box office. David Daniel has early estimates for the top 5 weekend films.
Death on the Nile floated down to 5th place, earning $2.7 million. Spider-Man No Way Home made $4.4 million for 4th place and a domestic total of $786 million. Dog trotted into 3rd place with $6 million.
There are places out there you can't find on any map.
Uncharted lost the top spot, but crossed the $100 million mark in domestic box office with an $11 million weekend.
We're pretty good at that.
Nothing came close to The Batman, which racked up $128.5 million, easily the best debut of the year and second only to Spider-Man No Way Home for the best opening since the pandemic began. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
The Batman does certainly seem to be an interesting movie. I was talking earlier on our 9 o'clock show. I watched, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises is all right, I guess, but the other two were fantastic, so I am looking forward to this one. I don't know about you two, but...
Well, I mean, like, the critics early, they loved it, and apparently the audience does too.
Yeah, they certainly do seem to. Danny, any of those movies seem appealing to you?
Actually, yes. I still haven't seen Spider-Man, which I'm eager to see, and so I'm very behind, but I have a lot on my list.
Well, it seems Spider-Man's doing pretty good at this point.
I'm actually surprised it's still in theater since still raking in cash.
$700-some-odd million is what they said, so I mean, that's just, that is incredible. I wish I could rake in that much money just telling you guys the news, but it doesn't work that way. Nick Kelly's forecast worth almost $700 million.
Yeah, worth drying out for the next 3 days. Temperatures around 42 tomorrow, but we'll be warming through the middle of the week. Next system, though, in Doug's pattern could bring in some rain chances late Thursday, but maybe some wintry weather by Friday.
Thank you, Nick. Danny, final check in sports.
Missouri Southern women turn their attention to the Central region. They'll play St. Cloud State on Friday.
All right, guys, thank you so much. That is our time for now. Don't forget the morning show at 5 a.m., and we'll be back here next weekend. Thank you for making us part of your night.
Services provided